Okay.
Hey everybody. So we're into the compassion space this week. Compassion. Yeah, it's such a big one. It's such a big one in the practice, certainly in Buddhist practices, but also in our lives, just in our lives, in this human life. You know, inner compassion, outer compassion. Why is it so challenging for us? Why is it so challenging for us? I'm really struck by when the teachers, first came over here, both from Burma. Remember Mahasi Sayadaw, and from the Theravadan tradition, and the Dalai Lama from the Tibetan tradition. When they came over here, they were really surprised, really surprised to see how difficult it was for Westerners to offer themselves compassion, because they hadn't seen it over there very much at all. Over there could be doubt about one's ability to do the practice, but not this kind of self-doubt and self-recrimination and critical and harsh thought that is so much that we're all so familiar with, you know? Yeah, the continually sending messages to ourselves that we are not quite good enough, that we haven't quite done enough, that we haven't quite earned it, our sense of goodness. And we could spend a lot of time wondering, why would that be so different in the West than in the East? Apparently it is. Apparently it is. Um, I know in Buddhist cultures, there is that sense that we're born into fundamental goodness. And it is right from the get-go, we have a right to be here. We don't have to earn anything. We belong. We born already belong. You could say we're born already loved, as Susan was talking about on Monday, and entering the world that way. And for whatever reason, of course, we all like little babies and so forth, and hopefully there's some goodness that happens early on in our lives, but there's still these underlying messages in our culture that we've got to earn it. We've got to do good. We've got to prove ourselves. We've got to grow up. We've got to man up. If you're a guy, you man up. That expression, man up. They kind of get it together, and then you'll be seen as a good person, as worthy. We've got to earn our worthiness. Yeah, yeah. And and to some extent, that's part of the underpinning of our spiritual traditions in the West. Yeah. The message goes through most of our families, most of our systems. I mean, it's really one of the pandemics. The underlying lack of self-compassion, yeah, in the West, it's pretty predominant, and it's pretty predominant in the psychotherapy world. Part of the presenting problem that most people have in there when they come into the office is, I don't like myself enough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's very pervasive. It's very pervasive, and we can try to make sense of why that is, but that doesn't help us be more compassionate. That's not going to help, because the pattern of not being compassionate toward ourselves is strong. It's strong. And we might even say, yeah, it makes sense for me to be able to feel more compassion for myself, but it still doesn't mean I know how to do it very well or very consistently, right? Yeah, so it becomes one of the major obstacles in the practice, actually, which is why, well, I will always say, in order for the practice to unfold, to deepen a little bit, we've got to like ourselves a little bit more first. The practice is not going to deepen if we do not begin to really see how much negative self-talk is running through our system. And the idea that if I practice really hard, maybe I won't have those thoughts anymore is just not right thinking. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. We've got to begin to learn how to soften up, soften around some of our difficulty, some of our struggles. There's this whole tendency in our culture to not want to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is weakness, you know? I don't really want to turn toward my own pain. When I'm feeling anxious or lonely or anxious or irritable, I don't really want to feel into that too much. I don't really want to own that too much. I don't even want to feel it too much. Yeah. Yeah. That's why for myself, this business, which you've heard me say many times, hey, buddy, what's going on in there? Oh my goodness, it's a mess in there today, huh? Not feeling so good today, huh? All right, let's just take a few easy breaths. Let's see if we can soften up a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I don't know how you do it, but in some way, we have to open the conversation with the parts of ourselves that we haven't really wanted to open the conversation too much in that territory. We more want to practice to get rid of that stuff. I don't want to have to I don't want to have to make room for it. I don't want to have to feel it too much, you know? I don't want to have to feel it too much. And there's this the contrast between the protective parts of our nature. I mean, part of our nature is to avoid suffering. I understand. That's part of our evolutionary wiring. And we want to avoid it at all. Really, we want to avoid it, do everything we can to avoid it. But then there's the affiliative part of our nature, which isn't just about protection and guarding ourselves from our difficult feelings. It's about connection. It's about connection. It's about collaboration. It's about opening to our own pain and to others. You know, I find it much easier to open to others after I've opened more to my own. Yeah, yeah. If I don't open to my own, I don't really want to hear someone else's. I may say, "How's your day?" But I just want people to say, "Fine," right? I don't really want to know, and they don't really want to share it anyway. And they don't want to be burdens. And there's this whole contract we have in our culture. Let's pretend there's not much to suffer about, or we shouldn't have a right to suffer. We should be all beyond it. We should be, we've been practicing for a while. We should have managed our dukkha, you know. We should be beyond it. We should, get it together and stay positive. But meanwhile, there are parts of ourselves that we have not opened up to, softened around. It's still there. It's still pretty powerful. And most people around us are in that same space. And many of them have even fewer tools than us. Fewer tools than us. Most of the world has fewer tools than us, and less opportunity to work on this kind of thing, than we do. And it's still difficult. We have it all, we have this opportunity. And boy, here's the grounds for compassion, is just to see how difficult it is to really be kind to myself more of the time, most of the time, to actually believe that I'm still a good person, to actually believe I'm walking through the world already loved. Yeah, it's a nice idea, right? Yeah. But it's a journey for us. But it's an important part of the journey. it's part of the journey that we'd like to leave out. I just want the wisdom. I don't want to have to feel difficult feelings and be kind to my own difficult feelings. I just want them gone. And I want the truth. I want wisdom. Yeah. Yeah. But part of this path, very central part of this path, is taking a close look inside. Well, the Buddha said, look very closely. And what's one of the first things he asked us to, he wants us to take a look at? Dukkha. And how we create it, and how we keep creating it, and how we hold on to it, and how we get into all these dukkha loops, and all these, I'm not quite enough, all the dances that we're doing that are creating and sustaining and maintaining relatively low self-compassion. We need to look at that directly. The whole dance of wanting to avoid parts of myself, you know, is so poignant. And actually, it's grounds for compassion right there. Look at what I've been doing my whole life. My whole life, I've been telling myself I'm not quite enough, and I need to be more, and I need to do more. I need to love more. I'm not smart enough, cute enough, strong enough, bold enough, loving enough. Almost, but not quite enough. Maybe someday, but not today. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. And then I die. Yeah. 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 And so this is such an important piece right here. Oh my goodness. None of us made the rules. We're all here on this planet for a short time. We don't even know how we got here, and we're not going to be here for long. We didn't make the rules. Isn't that enough right there to spur us for some compassion for ourselves and for other beings, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So again and again, yeah, we start out with kindness. We start out with metta. We want to get more metta cooking. We want to get more just basic kindness. But then we've got to open our hearts more to ourselves and to others as well. Yeah. Yeah. So compassion, inner compassion. Inner compassion is not selfish business. If we become a little bit more inner compassionate, it will open. We'll be able to sense other people's suffering more as well. Definitely, those two are very connected. Yeah. If I'm walling myself off from my own unhappiness, I don't really want to know about yours too much. You know, maybe a little bit, but not too much. Let's all get on with it, you know? Yeah. 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 What they found is that when compassion is present and self-compassion is present, it kind of cuts through all other diagnoses psychologically. It helps everything. It helps us with emotional resilience. It helps us feel more connected with ourselves and with others. It itself is um, is diagnostic. You know, it's very much connected with mental health, and a lot of research has shown that. Yeah. Okay. So it's a good idea. And here we are. We're all aware of this. And we continue to emphasize it, re-emphasize it, you know, because it's a journey. None of these things are light switches. Now I get it. Now I'm going to be compassionate toward myself. Doesn't work that way, right? It's a practice. They're all practices. They're all practices. Many times, many times, many times. Hmm? Bringing that kindness to ourselves, our basic goodness, just basic goodness, basic sense of belonging, fundamentally decent, not perfect, just fundamentally okay, decent human. Yeah, Why is it a journey to get there? It just is. That's part of our path. Yeah, it's part of our path. Yeah, it's part of the Buddha path, Buddhist path. So thank you. Let's open up and practice a little bit. Okay. When you're ready, slowing down a little bit more, lightly closing the eyes. And dropping in, dropping down into the breathing, the body breathing. Orienting towards settling and bringing as best you can kindness and ease. And getting the heart involved as soon as possible in our practice. And softening around the spiky edges of your experience. And bring that sense of warmth or friendliness to whatever is arising. Making room, making room. And sometimes when there's a good base of metta, of kindness, we can open a little bit more to inner compassion as well. See how that is for you. Maybe just taking a moment to reflect on how difficult it is to be human and how you have struggled and continue to struggle in some ways. And oh my, oh my, feeling into that a bit. The last few minutes of the meditation, settling back. And welcoming. Oh, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you all for your practice. Let me stop the